Today on Locked On Red Wings, when things go wrong, they tend to go wrong the same way every single time. Wings have a disastrous third period and lose to the league's worst Nashville Predators.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube, which, Scotty, hold your breath. I think you have to tell me because I actually don't know, but I think my camera situation may finally be sorted out.
You look stellar, my friend. You look
More
absolutely adorable over there. Yeah.
Thank you. I tried. I'm getting 118% of my plant speed right now because they replaced my modem and the cable. So the new modem somehow is I'm getting more than I should.
Which hilariously is over double of what you were getting before. So
I was getting about 49% before. Right. It ended up being an internet issue. And that's about the only good thing that happened today because the Red Wings lose 6-3 to the league's worst Nashville Predators. Scotty, give your thoughts on the game. Let's keep it simple. Your thoughts on the game.
Well, I mean, if we want to try to start how we usually do with biggest storyline, how is it anything other than period 3? That is pretty clearly the biggest storyline in this game. I mean, Nashville scores 1 goal. League's worst in offense, as we talked about yesterday. They literally score the fewest amount of goals, and they have the worst team save percentage. It's very hard to win with both of those things being the last in the worst in the league. And yeah, they went out there, and the Wings couldn't finish. Even the goals they did score were, as you mentioned before we hit record, pretty remarkably unimpressive. They scored, they made something happen, and we've been begging for them to, get pucks deep in order to make stuff happen. But that's how they score their goals. It's when it's on a platter, and that's kind of, or a bunch of redirects or whatever. And then on the defensive side, the worst offense in the league just came in and put up 6 on you, which I think you said before we hit record they literally haven't done all year. So being Nashville, so yeah, You gave up 5 goals in a period, dude. You're not going to win too many games ever giving up 5 goals in a single period, even if you play flawless hockey in the other 2, and they didn't do that either. So,
right.
Yeah, I think, we'll talk about it. I think Nashville was pretty even at best, if not, or maybe in their case at worst. They were pretty even at least, maybe. Throughout the entire game with the Red Wings, that is, in terms of just production and level of play. And I think you could pretty easily argue they were better most of the game, Nashville was. So, yeah, this isn't even one of those where we come on here and we're like, if a couple of bounces didn't go our way, or we had all the opportunities and just didn't stop the couple opportunities. Nashville had a lot of shots. They had constant pressure on the offense, and the Wings had they had no production in high danger situations. As I already kind of alluded to, that even the goals they scored were kind of, either gimme goals or redirects. And it's just a lot of the same old. You have question marks in net from the Wings perspective. I know Talbot's been, solid this year, but certainly this is not going to do anybody any favors in terms of how sustainable this goaltending room is. And then on the offensive side, you still don't have anybody that can consistently put the puck in the back of the net, except maybe DeBrincat. So yeah, man, I think it, again, biggest storyline, pretty comfortably the 5-goal third period. I would say it's pretty hard to win when that happens.
Right. Obviously that stands out like a sore thumb, and they were talking about it on the broadcast. They're the ones who brought it up. Ken Daniels did, that the Predators hadn't scored 5 goals in a single game all season. The only game that they had quote unquote 5 in was a shootout win. So the 5th goal actually, was not attributed to anyone. They just do it for the sake of having a winner. This was the first game all season they had scored 5. And by the end of that game, they had done that alone, like you said, in the third period, which is just absolutely absurd. When you look at how it happened, it's the same as always. When the Red Wings lose, they lose big, and in the same way every single time. It's infuriating. The defensive miscues, like basic defensive mistakes that need to be avoided. I mean, the big ones that stick out to me, you have the one goal. I'm trying to remember if I think it was Michael Bunting's goal, the power play goal that made it 1-0 early on. Travis Hamonic doesn't have proper positioning on Michael Bunting. He's not on the inside lane and the goalie. He's battling from behind. Michael Bunting just deflects the puck, and it's a goal. How many times on this stretch, where they've lost 3 of the last 4, have the goals come via deflection because the player out front is not properly tied up? Simple mistake. You look at both of the third period goals. You had a odd man rush coming back the other way. Red Wings defenseman kind of caught a little bit flat-footed because of a turnover in the neutral zone, or I believe it was the neutral zone. And all of a sudden you have 3 Predators coming with speed. Yeah. You had Stamkos go around, and Stamkos is like 30. He's ancient, and he's coming with speed down the wing on you. And he tries a wraparound attempt. Both Albert Johansson and Travis Hamonic cover the same side. No forward is back to cover the back door because it's a 3-on-2. No forward is there. And with Hamonic and Albert Johansson on the same side, when that puck squirts free off the rebound, it goes to O'Reilly back door, just hammers it home for the game winner. 13 seconds later, or whatever it was, you had 3 Red Wings on the ice. Seider, Sherratt, Danielson, all below the goal line, looking at the play. Eric Holla just skates from below the goal. Everyone, like, at least Sherratt is in view of Holla as this guy just skates to the net front all alone, and the pass comes from behind the net right to him, and he buries it. Like 13 seconds later to just immediately dash any hopes of a comeback with like 5 minutes remaining. So, and that's only 3 of the goals they allowed. Obviously, one was an empty netter, but there was the Blankenberg goal where at 4-on-4, he gets a jump behind the defenseman, and it looked to me, I can't remember which defenseman were on the ice for that one, but it looked to me like the defenseman at that time, because of his positioning, tried to take the puck carrier and was relying on the back checker, who was Patrick Kane in this instance, to cover the guy coming with speed back. So there's an issue there. It's like Patrick Kane's not fast.
I was going to say,
like, if you're depending on Patrick Kane to make a back check. But at the same time, you do need to be able to depend on your forward to step up and make that play.
For sure.
And you just can't when it's Kane. And it was so many small, simple mistakes cost them. And that's been the trend all season long. You mentioned Cam Talbot. He's been pretty good. But we talked about it. That was his 4th straight start, 3rd or 4th straight start. You cannot depend on Cam Talbot all season long. He's good in short spurts because he's 38. So if you don't have John Gibson going and you have to keep relying on Talbot, eventually you're going to get this result. I don't think Cam Talbot was the reason they lost, but I don't think he was making the clutch saves that he has been in games past. He didn't make the big saves when they needed him to either. Yossi's goal, that made it 3-2 early in the third period. I'm trying to remember exactly which lead change off the top of my head.
Hard when there's a 5-goal onslaught in one period. It's hard to even differentiate. Yeah.
Nashville wins the faceoff. Yossi comes down the right side, and Talbot doesn't get to his post in time, and he just beats him. And now, granted, I think it was a rebound, but it's just defensively, when they're bad, they're awful. And then the lack of finishing and 5-on-5 scoring and depth scoring down the lineup rears its ugly head again, where you had 3 or 4 2-on-1s, 2 with Raymond and Finney. Raymond did find Finney for a beautiful attempt, and Anunin made an incredible save. Another one where Finney and Raymond were on a 2-on-1. Finney had a great angle to shoot. I think it's just because he's a rookie, but he elected to pass across to Raymond instead and hopped over his stick when he could have shot and maybe gotten a rebound off the pads. Patrick Kane had a 2-on-1 with Eric Gustafsson, and he decided to shoot, missed the net. Casper beat out an icing, a vintage Casper shift, which you haven't seen a lot. Finds Kane. Kane misses the net. Comfer on a different opportunity in tight, misses the net. Outside of Larkin, Raymond, and DeBrincat, and we've been beating this horse dead, They have no one who can finish. They have no one who can score, and especially at 5-on-5. I know JVR scored on the power play, and I know Ben Sherratt scored at 5-on-5, and he just threw the puck at the net, but that was a good example of what they need to do, where they take the eyes away from the goalie. He never saw it. That was the one example in this game where they did what they have to do to score goals. This team doesn't have the skill to be able to just like dangle through players and skill it up and shoot. They're not getting to the net, and they're not getting the rebounds, and they're not taking away the eyes of the goalie. And so you get games like this where you score 2 on the power play and you get a Hail Mary from the blue line, and that's how you score your goals. No depth scoring, no finishing, and defensive miscues. They lose big every time when they lose, and it's always because of those things.
It sure is.
I think that was a pretty solid monologue, don't you think?
Yeah. Let's wrap it up, dude.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. We'll go into segment 2. We've got tons of other things to talk about from this hockey game, and then we have 2 game previews. So stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Scotty, here's the part where we talk about notable performers, right? But before we get to that, I guess more leading into that, I should say, less than before we get to that. But Simon Edvinsson did not play in this hockey game. He's still battling what I assume is the flu. It's spreading clearly because JT Compher also was battling an illness and was questionable to start this hockey game. I'm actually still shocked Edvinsson missed a third game with this flu. It must be really kicking his butt. But it did allow Erik Gustafsson to slot into the lineup for the first time as Jacob Bernard-Docker sits instead. And we saw ASP and Erik Gustafsson form a puck-moving pair. Not a lot of defense there, but the offensive upside does exist. What'd you make of Erik Gustafsson and, I guess, in a bigger picture, him and ASP together?
Yeah, I mean, I think they puck-moving pair that's some nice alliteration there. I think that really flows. That's a good pair nickname. Yeah, I don't know. They looked like how I expected them to look. Does that count as an answer?
Yeah. No, I mean, Erik Gustafsson looked like Erik Gustafsson, and ASP looked like ASP.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I actually didn't think ASP looked Erik Gustafsson looked terrible.
Yeah, I don't think
but
so.
I
don't think Erik Gustafsson is terrible. I think there's just a very limited amount of situations that you want to deploy him in.
Yeah. My expectations of him going into this game were already kind of tempered. I knew what he was. And they did show a couple, there were a couple opportunities that were getting deployed almost exclusively in the offensive zone. I noticed that. I was keeping track of that. And he and ASP had some nice moments of puck movement between them and the forwards when the rare opportunities the Wings could establish the offensive zone. He had a couple nice times where he kept the puck in, but then again, defensively is where they struggled. Any pair that's not Ben Sherratt and Moritz Seider right now just cannot transition that puck up the ice and get it to the forwards clean, and then the forwards themselves struggle to get it past the blue line. I mean, that's a different conversation, but the amount of times the Red Wings wingers get it along the boards and then cannot get it past the defender into the neutral zone for a breakout is mind-numbing. But yeah, they played limited minutes together. Gustafsson played, didn't play as limited minutes as I believed. Gustafsson did play 17, and ASP did play 19 minutes in this game. It was actually Albert Johansson and Travis Hamonic who played the fewest minutes in this game, 15 and 13 and a half each. So getting Erik Gustafsson lots of ice time. I'm not trying to say they looked great. I'm not trying to say Erik Gustafsson looked great, but I thought he gave us exactly the performance I was kind of expecting out of a pair like that. So we'll see. Like you said, just did what we thought they would do.
Right. We are who we thought they were. Yeah.
We also saw in this game Kasper get promoted back to the second line. How do you think that the Brinkett, Kane, and Kasper performed in this one?
I mean, we already kind of touched on Kane, I don't know, dude. Like this feels like terrible analysis, and like I'm like terrible at my
Well,
job. But like again,
that's par for the course for you.
Okay, fair enough. But like genuinely, like it's just I don't think any of them looked very different from how they have. I didn't watch that line and just get re-inspired about its ceiling and its potential, but I also don't think it was a train wreck. Like that's like the weird thing with this game is for 2 periods they were like relatively even, maybe got slightly outplayed, but like the goals were in their favor, so who really cares? And then like the third period happened, and it's just like that in a vacuum was just so different from the rest of the game. So like, I mean, we already talked about like Kane is a guy that you put out on the ice on even strength, and you hope that you don't end up in any like high danger, high leverage defensive situations. And like Casper, I mean, won a few like board battles in the corner, I guess. Like that's what that line needs, right? You want somebody that goes in and gets the puck out to either of those two guys. But I mean, yeah, like I don't know. I didn't think anybody on that line looked different from how they have.
Yeah, no, and mostly the conversation about Casper getting back up to 2C, and again, I think that's your highest ceiling option if you want a second line that works.
I agree.
And it's crazy having this conversation going at this point in the season, because going into the season, you know, we were like, that's your second line. You know, we know Kane's flaws at this point, but we know his pros. He's got a high offensive upside when you can deploy him in the offensive zone and on the power play. This year, he looks like he has regressed so far, especially at 5-on-5. He's missing the net a lot. That can be fixed. He is getting knocked off the puck super easily. His foot speed, his acceleration, and hell, even his effort in the forechecking and the backchecking is non-existent, which has always been the case, but it seems like it's degrading even more. But he's still Patrick Kane in that, again, you saw it on the power play here, when you give him enough time and patience, he makes magic happen. And there were actually some jeers from the crowd on that power play, because it was the power play to 5-on-3, back to the power play. They were just passing. They weren't doing much, but they gave Patrick Kane time and space. He was able to wait until he saw JVR and just send the puck right to him. JVR was able to bury it for a goal. Great to see JVR get on the score sheet and back-to-back games, but in situations where Kane can't have all the time in the world to just sit on the wing and pass, he's been an ineffective player. And I hate to say that because he is a Hall of Famer. Like, Patrick Kane is still a tremendous player, and we can still be honest and say he hasn't been very good since he's come back from injury. And he had a slow start to last year, so there's still an opportunity for him to heat up and turn it around. Marco Casper has been invisible. He has 2 goals, no assists. He hasn't had an assist since the final game of the last season. Marco Casper's nowhere near playing to the level that we saw him play last season. And I know it's in him. He had one vintage shift. I already touched on it, where he beat out the icing.
Vintage. He's played 8 months of NHL hockey.
Vintage to last
Marco
season.
Casper, dude. Turn back the clock and go look at his prime years. That's what he looked like.
Turn back the clock 8 months. That's what I'm talking about. That's vintage Marco Casper right there. You understand what I'm getting at, though.
No, for sure.
He just has been, he's been behind the play, chasing the puck, and kind of ineffective. The only one of those 3 that's been a monster is Alex DeBrincat.
Right.
And, even his success comes on the power play in a lot of instances, but at least
the power play or the top line. When he's it's not with these two. Even when he does succeed on 5-on-5, right? Like you mentioned, obviously he has a ton of success on the power play, but even he's played 50-60% of the season with Larkin and Raymond too. It's not even the success he does have is with these two. I don't know, man. They got to figure something out. And I know that's really lazy analysis because who knows? But what else? We have beat this horse to a pulp, dude. What? I don't know what else to even say. They need to find a way to get any other. They are legitimately just at this point, if you shut down the power play and the top line, you beat the Red Wings. And it's well, that's it's worked so far. So
Yeah, and when it comes to DeBrincat too, he has been playing good off the puck too. He made a really nice play early in this game where he got all the way back and cleared a puck from the slot that was sitting there because he's been displaying a two-way game, and a little bit of a tangent, but absolutely needs to be considered for Team USA. I don't know if he will because, again, the size thing and all the other options that they have, but he's on a 40 goal pace right now. He plays both sides of the ice.
He's been fantastic.
He's not afraid to throw the body despite his size. That's the thing, is he plays physical. He is more of a complete package right now than he has ever been in his entire career, and he's still scoring goals. It's not costing him offense.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, this is when you look at how he plays the game, and you look at the contract that the Wings gave him when that trade first happened. You, especially with the cap going up, you kind of scoff at it. You're like, yeah, like that. A guy that's worth every penny of on a value perspective of what his contract is for sure.
Right. Scotty, let's head to another break. When we return, I have one final thing to talk about because obviously there was a official roster move coming into this game, so stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Got to talk to you guys today about Monarch Money. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why you got to start using Monarch, all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's going to help you organize your accounts, track your spending, and get a better handle on those investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. You're going to love how you can review everything with your partner, see shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Alrighty, Scotty. The final thing from this game I really want to touch on actually happened prior to the game, but again, informs the notable performers. Elmer Soderblom was activated off of IR. He was placed on IR just a few days ago. Apologies, I said abo. I don't know what that is. But it was retroactive to the 9th, so he was eligible to come off literally, I think, the day he was placed on it. And then they placed Michael Rasmussen on IR retroactive to the 20th. So Rasmussen is on IR until
already
he's
a
healthy.
week into that, by the way. So
right. 6 whole days already.
Right.
Elmer Soderblom slotted in. He played on the third line with JT Compher and Mason Appleton. I thought Elmer Soderblom was probably the Red Wings' best player in this hockey game. Maybe not best, but stood out the most for positive reasons. And I think that third line was the only line that was consistently driving offense in a game where the Red Wings were, in all 3 periods, even outside of the disastrous third, pretty much outclassed by this league's worst Nashville Predators.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, no, and man, like you're not going to rely on Elmer for a super high point total, but that is a guy that, I mean, you kind of copy and paste the conversation with a lot of the young guys down in the lineup, but you're looking for anyone to just show signs of life down there. Like we again, like Kasper's been what he's been this year. Danielson's had a couple of flashes, and obviously he's new to the NHL. Like, I'm not saying it's an indictment on what his career will be. Same with Kasper, I guess, but like, haven't received a ton of production from him from that one big game, rather. Like Elmer, you can throw in there, Berggren, even if you want to like clump him into that. Like you're just looking for anybody in the bottom half of the lineup to maybe produce some points. So yeah, I agree with you though. I think he looks really sharp, and I honestly, I'm excited. I'm kind of hoping we see him on the third line more, because before the injury, it was mostly fourth line stuff, and which like he was fine, but the fourth line was really good when he was on there. But they're only getting 7 to 9 minutes a night, so I'm hoping he gets maybe a little bit more ice time. Between
him, Berggren, and Rasmussen, he is the guy I would want in the lineup the most right now.
Yeah, same. I'd agree with
I think he has the highest upside as a player at the moment. Scotty, the Red Wings play 2 games this weekend, back-to-backs, Saturday against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then Sunday against the Boston Bruins. The game on Friday is at home, and the game on Saturday, pull it up here for you, is...
Did you say Saturday, Sunday, and then Friday, Saturday? Which one is it?
Did I? It's Friday, Saturday. I'm sorry. Friday, Saturday. Friday against the Lightning at LCA.
Are we sure that these are the only games the Red Wings play this weekend?
Yes, because the Red Wings' next game, I believe, is against the Bruins again. I think that's a Tuesday game. I can double check on that.
Because we've been
right
really bad at this the last 2 weeks.
It happened one time.
No, it happened
we
twice,
just joked.
technically.
When was the second time?
No, the second time they played 2 games and we only said they had 1 over the weekend. It was a Friday episode. We only previewed and talked about 1 game and they played 2.
People's memories are short. Don't remind them. So
Tampa. I don't know if this is your first day on the internet, but they're super not short. Actually, they're super not.
Tampa on Friday at LCA. Boston in Boston on Saturday. They play Boston again. That time at LCA is going to be on Tuesday. So 2 games this weekend, Friday, Saturday. Tampa Bay is currently first place in the division, Scotty.
Yeah, and I mean, even Boston, we talked about, it was probably a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, I guess already. But, it's a Bruins team that is not exactly just rolling over to the bottom of the division like some people thought they would either. They're still obviously talented at the very top of that lineup. And yeah, Tampa is a unit. I mean, we talked about them when we did the division update, whatever that was, 10 days ago now. And they are not giving up any goals and creating a lot of opportunities. And that is a hard hockey team to beat. So I don't even know anymore. This Red Wings team is because of what their shortcomings are, they are so inconsistent in terms of result, right? The process is actually relatively replicated. It's, you know what I mean? It's somewhat they play their style and they do it decently well. And it's a style that should lead to results more times than not. But because they can't actually put the puck in the back of the net and you have no clue what goaltending you're going to get on any given night, you have no clue. You lose to Nashville one night and they could go out and beat Tampa and it wouldn't shock me either. So,
well, the Red Wings have been inconsistent all season long. I think I talked about it, maybe I touched on it a little bit in the episode and mentioned it before the podcast, but they won 5 in a row, then they lost 3 in a row, and then they won 4 of 3 or 3 of 4 rather, and then they lost 3 of 4. They've been, when you chop it up into chunks, you can see the trends. It's they get hot and then they stink, and then they get hot and then they stink, and that's kind of been how it's been. Right now, they aren't playing good hockey, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, after starting the season, Jesus, they lost, I think, 6 of their first 7 games, have gone on 2 separate 5-game winning streaks. They're currently riding the second 5-game winning streak coming into LCA. They are I think they're 8th in the league in expected goal share at 5-on-5. They're scoring a lot of goals. They've woken up. And, I mean, this is the team that I projected to win the Atlantic Division, thinking Toronto and Florida would take a step back, and so far they have. So it just the beast has woken up, and they're playing good hockey right now. Boston, like you said, Boston's a little bit more similar to Detroit, where they're hot and they're cold. They're hot and they're cold. They are basically winning or losing every other game. They did have a long 7-game winning streak a little earlier in the season, and then a 6-game losing streak before that. But since then, they've pretty much been win-loss, 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 win-loss. They're coming off a win, but they have another game before then, so they might be on. There might be another win for them. Who knows?
We'll see.
The Magic. But like you said, Boston you can't count them out because they still have David Pastrnak. Morgan Geeky's playing fantastic for them as well. He's got 23 points in 25 games. But they're definitely not the Boston Bruins of old. Jeremy Swayman has been really, really good this season. He's got a .915 save percentage as well, and that's a guy they need to be playing good hockey if they want to have a chance, but they don't have the depth that they used to. So you expect them at some point to kind of fade away, but we say that every single year, and they find a way to stick around. So,
sure do.
I mean, listen, the Red Wings are playing Overall, across the season, they've been playing pretty consistent hockey. Just haven't been finding the back of the net consistently, but their style of play has been pretty consistent. If they can cut out the stupid mistakes and the pucks start falling in the back of the net for them because they are getting a lot of opportunities, they just struggle to finish on them, they're going to be okay. But no better time than the present to get that fixed because you play Tampa, who's in first, and Boston, who's in second, back-to-back. And the Eastern Conference and Atlantic Division is still super tight. The division as it stands right now, as of recording this, it's Tampa in first with 30, Boston in second with 28, Detroit in third with 27, Ottawa, who I think has the lead right now in their game as we record, is in fourth with 26, so they may leapfrog Detroit. And Boston is trailing at the end of the second with 25. I'm sorry, Montreal is trailing at the end of the second of their game with 25 points. So that's 1 through 5 right there. Oh, Florida's also tied for fifth at 25. Toronto's in sixth with 23, and Buffalo's in eighth with 22. So 8 points separate first from eighth. Hammering that one home all season long so far is how tight the Atlantic's been. Like, you need every win you can possibly get, and no better time to get it than against division opponents. So let's string together a couple games.
Division games are like playoff games when it's this close. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, Scotty, last thing I got on my docket, not Red Wings related, although I guess for me it would be, but Team USA announced their Olympic jerseys today. 10 out of 10?
I love them.
I mean, that's the look. Yeah. That's the classic look.
Why is that? Red Wings related, I guess, yeah.
Well, because I'll finally be getting my Dylan Larkin jersey, and it'll be in a Team USA. So
yeah.
Or DeBrincat if he makes the team. Cross my fingers. But I famously, nobody knows.
Famously? Did you just say that? Did you just say famously?
I meant to say infamously, but that still doesn't apply because nobody knows.
Famously, you guys know the wall.
You know the wall. It's Datsuk Winter Classic. I got my Osgood jersey.
Oh, we're going.
Cider Military, Lucas Raymond Stadium Series, Patrick Kane Centennial, a Yuri Fisher jersey. That's why I wear number 2. And then I have a Nick Lidstrom home jersey. Both those last two are off camera unless we're in the wide shot. I don't have a Larkin jersey. I need a Larkin jersey, and I mean, no better time than Team USA. You trying to put me in the wide shot? You're failing hard.
I'm trying, but instead it just made both.
I'll just kick Scotty out. I don't know if people can. I think they might still be able to hear you.
Oh, that's cool.
But you can see, and then there's a couple of Oakland University jerseys over there because rep ACHA hockey. Never forget, right. UNLV, ACHA D1 beat the reigning national champs last year in a shootout.
Sure did.
Denver. So, all right, Scotty. Nobody cares about the last half of what I was talking about. Team USA jerseys look sick. Any final thoughts, buddy? Thanks.
We ball.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving. And I guess we should say there won't be a Friday episode because we will be passed out on the couch full of carbs. So we'll be back on Monday to recap both the Tampa Bay game and the Boston game. Stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.